Hey, very good morning and good evening, everyone. Welcome back. Or for some of you, today is the first session, so welcome to the training. Um, to have a quick recap, like what we have discussed in the demo. So we have understood that our roles and responsibilities and how AI is actually going to help us, right? So that is what we have discussed, and we also have mentioning that so some of the problem statements in the training same like real time. So we'll try to solve that in the with the help of AI, right? So along with that, so our roles and responsibilities are, um, I'll open a document. So here there is a URL I pinged on the chat. Okay, so there's a Google document. If I open this, just go through the yeah. Yeah. So here is where so more or less we discussed in yesterday's session. We started with the market. Okay, that means like the SDLC software development market, how DevOps has been evolved, right? Now there is a market that provides us the a job, by the way, so which is SDLC market, which is software development market, right? So there you're going to have some engineering roles, and engineering has been evolved to. Uh, Let me open that maybe just for reference purpose. Yeah. So here is what I mentioned. So waterfall model, and then it moved on to like, development moved on to agile, and that's where the rule for the speedness needed, which was DevOps, came into picture, and also you have uh, uh, you have security as a principle, so yes, coming into picture. So the DevSecOps also was there from some time. Now, looking for the massive scale. Okay, so yesterday also I was telling the one bank example. We remember, I think it's remember there. So when there was, one of the problem that I have mentioned for some of you, it was not completed. But let's just, yesterday I was giving one example. So where I have taken a bank example. So you have different verticals, right? Now different verticals, different part of the business doing the same job, by the way. So which is KYC part. Now let's say if I'm having some retail bank, which is bank account and all, uh, so they have to do their KYC. So if I have some loans, they have to do, loans also different departments. They have to do the KYC. So different people doing the different KYC part, by the way. Now, so when, the problem which we solved recently is one of the problem I have mentioned, that what we had done is we have took all the repositories, the Bitbucket repositories, which is like, 2000 plus it should be more than that. So the 2000 repositories we have, fed to our model. Okay, so connected over in MCP. So we just connected to this AI, and a new guy who is coming up with some sort of a new loan, new product, something. He also need to done the KYC. Now, rather than he spending that time and effort on the KYC part, by the way, so whereas the other people already solved that particular problem. Now, what this guy can do is, so this guy will go to the AI and ask, like, who are the guys who has solved the KYC problem? Okay, how would they have done that? So they'll simply do the query. Now it will go to the 2000 repositories and uh, 2000 repositories, and it will tell the result that, so here is how you can implement the things. Okay, so reading a 2000 repositories by a single person or a single team is humanly impossible. Okay, but the AI is actually solving the problem. Now, likewise, okay, so here the AI apps come into the picture. So this is what we had discussed yesterday. Now, all these, by the way, so all these to work, by the way, the major role where it is coming from is SDLC, software development. Okay, the software development is providing this particular uh, job, by the way, right? And so once we wanted to start our work, so our roles and responsibilities majorly, if you look in, so that also we have done. So the roles and responsibilities. So here are the roles and responsibilities. We are going to have a infrastructure as a code. Okay. And that means infrastructure as a code means that you need to create infrastructure, correct? Infrastructure majorly comprises of servers, correct? So the server is the one, and CI/CD engineering. Okay, so CI/CD. Okay, our major focus is CDE. So CD means continuous delivery or deployment. Okay, that means you deploy the application on a live server with zero downtime. Okay, on a live server, on a live environment with zero downtime. So that means this is also targeting the servers. And where do you run the containers? It is on servers, right? And so where is your application running going to run, and how do you handle your security? It is also on the servers. And ultimately, you're going to do the monitoring. So this is also going to be on the servers. And AI here and there is also servers part, but yeah, here and there it is a bit different. That's okay. But majority of the role, if you look in, it is all pointing to where the servers. Correct. Okay. 1 minute. Just update the screenshot. All right. Okay. Now, so if you look in, say every part of our work is actually, pointing towards the server, right? Now, that means the server is an important thing for us to consider, right? So server is as an important thing. Okay, so that means we need to understand what are these servers. I think most of you have general idea, by the way, but let's have a understanding from my side as well. Okay. Now, when we say the server, by the way, so the business which we're talking about majorly here is the web-based applications. Okay, so today everything is web only. Okay, even if you are using mobile also, I mean that more or less translates to a server. Okay, or more or less translates to web application only. Okay, everything is web-based application. So today I'm using this Google Doc. It is a web-based application. Or if you are using the Zoom you're attending, it's a web-based application. Okay, anything is going to be the web-based application. Now if you look into the web-based application and how the web-based application will look like, so the web-based application, anyhow the details you'll get it. So the end user is going to hit the web. Okay, and the web, actually when we talk about web, it can be a desktop side website, or it can be a mobile side a web app also. Okay, you install the application, which is an empty application, and or else I mean, for an example, you take Amazon.com. You can open Amazon.com and buy the products on the desktop website, or else the Amazon app you install. Okay, you actually, it's just the interface part. This is a UI interface part. Okay, so whether it comes on the website or web app, but beneath the scene, everything is same only. Okay, so these guys will go and talk to something behind both the guys, the web or the mobile app, but this is remains same. Okay, so today majority of the applications are like this only, web based or mobile based. Okay, now when we say web application, that means that software is hosted somewhere, right? So that is somewhere is basically the server part. So somewhere in the servers, it is going to be hosted. Now these servers are generally, like I know, high capacity computers. Okay, so designed to handle multiple user requests continuously. They typically run in data centers. Okay, where you have a facility to power it without any interruption. Okay, and also these servers will be having hundreds of servers. Those will be organized in the racks. Okay, typically if you visualize, this is a rack, and that fits inside the. Okay, this is a rack server. that fits inside the rack, and there will be a massive number of racks in the data center. Depends upon the organization size. Okay. Now each rack holds multiple rack mounted servers. Now the server is actually, okay, which is fitting inside the rack is called as a rack server. Okay. So most of the time we'll use rack servers only in the data centers. So a rack server versus tower, by the way. So tower, I think, is uh, well known for the desktops, by the way. Okay. So these are the tower servers. Okay. The tower server, rack server. The tower is not actually is a efficient on the space utilization. That's where majority of the industry goes on the server side. On the racks, especially on the data center, it is going to be a rack server. That's why the name of the server itself has become a rack server. Okay. So there are different vendors who manufacture it. You know, Dell is there, HP is there, IBM is there, Oracle is there. So different vendors actually manufactures the hardware out there. Okay. Now you typically take a Dell series, just for our understanding. I took one screenshot. So Dell PowerEdge series, by the way, and the Dell PowerEdge series, these particular systems, usually you will see a higher capacity. Maybe I'm not sure this image is so clear to you, but yeah. So if I just take, I'll put it here. PowerEdge, I70, something like that. Okay. So if you go into the rack server, so usually you will see the big size, by the way. So you see that it supports up to 144 cores of processors. Okay. So I think if you are using your desktop, you have quad core, right? So that means your i series, i4, sorry, i5, i7. These are all 4 core systems or 4 core processors. Or at least if I'm not wrong, i7 is also 4 core. But yeah, but servers are actually higher size. And even if you look at the RAM also, you'll get a huge amount of RAM. So you're going to get, let's say, what is the size they're talking about? So they're talking about 16 DDR5 that supports a maximum of 1 TB of RAM. Okay. And usually you need to understand these servers are actually of the bigger capacity. Okay. Now, why I'm talking about this one is because our application today is doesn't really require these much big servers, by the way. So those might be requiring a very small servers. Okay, why? Because in industry, as a part of a development, they came to from monolith applications to microservices versus microservices. Okay. Back in days, what we used to do is there used to be a development, and that development that used to be a monolith architecture. So that means like big components on the runs on the single server. But later, slowly, uh, industry moved on to the microservices. So that means like so small components, they will work together to make an application. So these are all small services. And for a small service, okay. So that means you take a typically, I was already explaining yesterday. So how many services does Uber have? Okay. So how many microservices? Okay. How many microservices that Uber has? So they're telling 4,500 services. That means Uber is typically not taking 4,500 physical servers to host each service on each server. So that is not happening. Okay. So that is not going to happen. It's a too costly affair to handle, right? So that's where, when you look at the servers, by the way, I think I just deviated to the point. So now these servers are actually powered up with, I'll come to that. Uh, just come after covering one more point, actually. Okay, so then these components will be installed uh, on a virtual machines, by the way. So what do we do is we'll not actually go and run a physical machine. What do we do is we are going to take a physical machine. On top of physical machine, we are going to create virtual machines. Today, when you talk about a server, it is mostly 99% is going to be a virtual machine. there are pretty cases where you still go for a physical machine. So for an example, you have databases, like let's say heavy database operations where you run maybe like Oracle databases, okay, where you may still go with the physical machines there, okay, for performance and high capacity. But otherwise, it is always for general running of application. It's always going to be a virtual machine. Now, when we talk about a server, okay, whether it is a physical machine or a virtual machine, okay, so we generally call it as a server. Don't confuse with the terminology. So it can be a physical machine or a virtual machine. I think I lost my voice for a few minutes, couple of seconds. Is it back again? Some internet stability warning came to me. Am I audible now? Can someone please confirm on the chat? Okay, thank you. All right. So yeah, when we talk about servers, server means it need not be a physical server today, and it can be a virtual machine. But both the places we generally call it as a terminology as a server only, or we can call it as a VM, okay, or an instance. So there are different terminologies we use. A server we can call, instance we call, virtual machine we call, okay. So different terminologies we use. Don't confuse. It's all point to 99%. It is going to be virtual machine in the working organizations. It in the training, it is going to be 100% virtual machine. Will not take any physical server, okay, or something like that. It is going to be 100% virtual machine. Okay. So that is how the servers will be there. The big servers will be there. Those big servers will be taken and created into some pieces and we'll start using it. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're using a physical machine or a virtual machine. Then what do we do is, so how do we run these particular servers? So definitely, how do you run your desktop? So some operating system you're installing, whether it can be Windows, Linux, right? Either of the two choice. If it is X, it is a hardware user. So there's another version which is Mac OS, which is a Unix systems, where software and hardware made by the same persons. But whereas coming to the Windows, software can be made by other person. Sorry, hardware can be made by other person. Whereas Windows software you can run on that, right? So that is how, desktop operating systems, we know, no doubt Windows is actually leading, right? But when it comes to the server operating system, okay, so here is a Wikipedia link. Let's understand that. Now here, when we actually look at the different things, different details. So the worldwide devices shipments is basically on Android is higher. I think it's even the very old data. And also web clients, Android uses more web clients. Definitely devices are Android are more. And when you look at the desktop and laptop operating system, Windows is leading. Here, no one is questioning that number. So Windows is leading in the desktop and laptop. And the same way, so now I have okay, a server operating system. Now, the server operating system, by the way, if you look at the market cap, so the majority it was basically using the Unix OS and then the Linux OS. Okay, so this number is typically taken for a supercomputers, which is even bigger numbers. But however, if you look at general also, uh, Linux is a leader in that particular area. Okay, why? Because Linux is so stable and it is proven for performance at scale. And it's also it's due to its open source nature, its security things are true transparent, right? And and also you have a flexibility for the customizations purpose as well. Okay, for different reasons. Okay, even Windows is still used in certain organizations as a server OS. Okay, and we have seen the massive down time that realized that so even Windows has certain significant presence in the market. In 2025 October, uh, the CloudStrike downtime, right? So it disrupted or it interrupted the full uh, airline industry, right? So for a few days it was massive chaos because of the um, Windows. Like that time only, I think they're also like I think servers and as well as it was more onto the terminals by the way. So that means the devices that run in there is mostly the Windows part. Okay, even there is a cascading server impact, data center impact also was there on the Windows. So together it happened. But yeah, so if you look at there, okay, there is a presence in the market, no doubt in that. But if you look at massive, Linux is just a dominant by the way in that area. Okay, mostly 95%. I hope that you end up with Linux in most of the organizations, but there are Windows as well. I don't deny on that. Okay, but however, Linux is a dominant, so we'll be going on, looking towards to the Linux side of the things. So that's where Linux is a starting point of the course that we need to learn certain Linux operating system. I think some of you maybe never looked at the face of the Linux, so it's going to be brand new. It's okay, but we'll start from here. I think even Windows also one day it was a brand new to you. For a period of time, you got used to that, and at least you know the how an operating system behaves. And Linux is also the same thing. Okay, so a lot of people actually make the, uh, I mean, m- make little time waste around the Linux operating system because, I mean, Linux is an infinite operating system, like so you have a lot of features on the Linux operating system. But is it every feature that you need to do it on the Linux for you, or every feature do you need it? I don't think so. Just go with the Windows. What you know is Windows, right? Just imagine. Do you know 100% of the Windows? At least I don't know. I use Mac OS. I know 100%? No, I never knew. I can't knew 100% of the operating system. So what do I know? How to organize my work, right? So Linux also is another operating system. So we need to really spend. Okay. So if it is 15 years back, I would have my statement was been different. Okay. You should know Linux very well. My statement was that. But after 15 years, I think I can't use the same statement because it was not essential because 15 years back, you don't have a proper Stack Overflow information from the outside world. You should know good Linux in order to maintain it. So, but today, I think the information is just available at the tip of the hands. So, uh, tip of the fingers, it is available. So, all the matter is you need to know about something if you're not aware. Okay, and also like Linux also matured too much over 15 years. If you look in, I think just you need to look like Linux as an operating system. Where in the Windows so far, maybe you have done certain user perspective of Windows operating system. Maybe you have not performed at some admin activities. I think some of you might have performed admin activities also. Like how do you install a software, right? Installation of a software, unless until you have an admin access, you will not do it. Linux also, you will do some admin activities. Some plus are there. Okay, installation is one example. You will do those things. But apart from that, as a regular exercise, what do you do in your Windows operating system? The maximum you do a browsing, and these are servers. You don't need to do browsing at all. Okay, so the task is removed. Maximum you can go in your desktop is for entertainment purpose. You do YouTubing or some movies, some music. Server is not meant for that purpose. You don't do that. And you probably might go for document editing, like you just go and so create a graphical content like Windows Word document, something like this here. Okay, and again, server is not meant for that. Okay, remove all these particular things. Then what do you do in your desktop? Okay. So hardly, I think certain things, if you look in, like you manage your files and folders, something. Okay. Organize your files. So that is one thing that you do in Linux. And majorly, I think in your Windows operating system, you never run any program that can serve, by the way, but servers are meant for running some program that serves the things. That is the only difference. Okay. So if you look at the delta, by the way, so majority of the things what you do in the desktop is invalid on the Linux. But fundamentally, how do you create a file? How do you cut the file, paste the file, create a folder? Okay, those is a very common things across the operating system, even Linux and Windows. Those particular things, anyhow, you have the context, and some additional things will come into picture. Okay, that is the only thing will come into picture is a difference. Plus, interface becomes a difference. So whereas your desktop is a graphical interface, whereas Linux mostly will prefer is a command line interface. So that means you have to type a lot to do the work. rather than using the mouse. That's the only difference, major difference that will come into picture. Okay. Now, just the point is the servers are meant to run for performance because application will run there. Those are meant to run for performance. And while you want to run the server, so there the preference is generally falls to a Linux operating system, not the Windows operating system in major. Okay. And when you look at the Linux, okay, so Linux distribution, so there are different Linux distributions are available. Okay. So there is a Red Hat from Red Hat. There is a Red Hat company. There's a Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and now it is IBM. IBM Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Now there is a Ubuntu guy is also there. Now there is a Rocky Linux, Alma Linux, CentOS stream. So at least Rocky Linux, Alma Linux, CentOS, these are all the same copy of Red Hat only. Okay. So but Ubuntu is another guy. If we look at the distributions of there is a Red Hat dis, sorry Linux dis, OS distributions. So if we go into this list of Linux distributions, you'll get a massive diagram, by the way. Okay. So this diagram, I think it seems very. Let me zoom it. So then if I zoom it, so you can see that there is a Slackware, one guy who is actually, the Slackware is also there. I think Slackware is no more too much, used anywhere in the market. Okay, so there is a guy which is Debian. So Debian is the guy, so who is one Linux flavor. Now each and every line is the core Debian copy. So they take the third one and they'll do the copy. And Red Hat also, there is a Red Hat, and Red Hat also has released a Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and people will copy, by the way. So you can see this, there's one line copy which is a CentOS here. So there is a copy CentOS. Okay, like that you'll find the different operating systems around here. So which is a copy of the different operating systems. Okay, so especially if you look in, so there is a Debian, Slackware, Red Hat, and there are some enthusiastic individual guys who has made it. I think there's not too much prominence. So if you look at the enterprise support, you have either a Debian or a Red Hat, and Red Hat is quite famous in the enterprise support. So it is going to be Red Hat mostly if you are at least in the enterprise organization. Ubuntu is not that much. You'll see it's going to be It's going to be Linux. It's going to be Red Hat. Sorry. Debian is also, I think, is being pushed by Windows as an alternative to, Red Hat. Now, one of the, when I say Windows, Microsoft, one of the major contributor now to the Debian is Microsoft. Okay, so they are pushing the Debian in their wherever they are using Linux, they're pushing for Debian. Okay, Microsoft also uses a lot of Linux systems, by the way. And wherever it uses, it is preferring Debian. But yeah, it's okay. One operating system, the other one is not a big deal. So here and there, some few things will change, but overall the requirement remains same. So as long as you understand the requirement, I think doing is quite easy, right? You can figure it out how to do that. So that's where, so the Red Hat is, even if I type in internet, so this is just Google AI mode, which Linux is widely used, the answer you get it is Enterprise Linux and Ubuntu. So these are the two answers you are getting, right? Now, anyhow, in enterprise world, Red Hat is quite leader in that. So we'll go with the Red Hat. Now in Red Hat also, there are different versions which are available. So RHEL 7, 8, 9, 10 are there. I think 7 is anyhow already ended. So RHEL 8 and 9 is quite heavily going on. So recently they introduced last year, they released a RHEL 10 also they released. So if we look in, there are 10 released. 10 released on 20 May 2025. Last year they have released. But yeah, so I think 8 is actually ending in 2029, or sorry, 8 is ending in full support already ended. Okay, so that's where you have RHL 9. Okay, by ending in 31st May 2027. These are all maintenance and extended support. Okay, 2027. I think we have another 1.5 year there. So think it's also for me to move on to 10, by the way. It's okay, but doesn't matter. So version to version, there are slight feature changes that will come into picture, and performance. Those are the things. But it doesn't matter which version you pick it from. From 7, by the way, the most of the commands what we are using is realize the same ones. So there won't be much difference. So we will be going with the Red Hat 9. Okay. So it is even support until I have mentioned, but I think this is okay. Maintenance support doesn't matter much. Now this is where it is. All right. And yeah, so we are going to end up taking Linux in our training. That would be Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Now I need to set up a Linux environment. I think there is a history. I'm just skipping this. It's okay. If you're interested, please refer this video. There's a very good video actually. Okay. So setting up a Linux environment. So what I had to do, I had to install Linux on my personal laptop. That is the place where I can practice. Okay. Or else, I mean, because you shouldn't interrupt your um, desktop Windows. By the way, you may be already working on something, so that means you can go for a dual boot. Okay. So even this is also you feel a bit complicated. Maybe you're using a company laptop, so where you can't do both the things. So where you can go for and you create a virtual machines inside your desktop, by the way, and create some virtual machines inside your. So I don't prefer this also. Okay, why? Because I think some of the hardware doesn't support also. So I think bringing everyone to the same page is a bit difficult because every one of you having your own hardware. And also, I don't prefer to run the things on local because it degrades your laptop performance. Okay, running virtual machines. So I don't prefer to do that because your desktop is never designed to do that. It just burns too much of your capacitors, and makes generally your hardware life little less, makes it reduce. Okay, that's where I'll not prefer you to do that. Now, while all these options are the options which are available, but I don't prefer you to do that, because while all your methods work, none of them reflect your real-time organization setup. You go into a company, you don't install Linux on your laptop directly and you run the things on your laptop, and you don't do the dual boot, and you don't create a VMs to run the things, right? You potentially work on servers. In enterprise, servers are not your desktops. They are provisioned on the data centers remotely, correct? So now while you go there and work in a different way, okay, why we need to do it in a different in lab, by the way? So we'll also follow the same thing. So then how do I get that? So that's where the cloud comes into picture. So we're going to talk about the cloud things. So before going further, I'll take a quick pause and I'll take any questions if you have. But yeah, overall, what is the last half an hour? What I'm trying to mention is when you actually get onto this, when you actually get onto uh, the world of work, you mostly see the Linux is the major place that you work on as a server perspective. And Red Hat Linux is our choice. And we are going to take the Red Hat Linux somewhere from the cloud. Okay. So yeah. So before going further, I think I have taken too many points. Any questions on this, please? It's the same thing. So please raise your hand. I'll come to you one by one. Anyone? Any questions? Okay, wonderful. Either my session is good or it's completely lost. Okay, so um, the next one is I want to take the things from the cloud. So I think yesterday I already mentioned every one of you need to take a AWS account. If you already have an account, please continue with the same one. Or if you are very new to that, so please um, create your own accounts, and you can do after the session. So there is a video sign up also I have taken from YouTube, some video, so which is having just a sign up part. Okay, it's very simple, by the way. So you can sign up, and the sign up link, by the way. So it is the sign up link. Its link is given here. You can go here and do a sign up. Okay, so you go with the basic support free only, complete, and you give the remaining fields. And while you give that, you essentially need to provide. Uh, I think I already have an account, so you just logged in. So you essentially need to provide all the necessary details, by the way. Okay, so just and after that, here is a login page. So you will be logging in. I will also log in now.
That's Hi, Raghu. My question is, do we have to put a limit? Like it will ask for credit card, and can we put a limit?
So limits I usually check. I'll see in a different opinion, by the way. So for an example, for any reason, you cross you for any reason, like let's say in 5 days, you burn the limit. Let's say. Now, what do you do for the remaining 25 days? You're getting my point. So let's say
No, sorry, I missed it.
$20 is a limit we thought. Okay, we'll keep some $20 limit. For some reason, you forget to stop the server, delete the server, whatever it is. You completed the $20 in the first 5 days itself. Just assume, hypothetically. Now, what do you do in the remaining 25 days of the month? Will you not do any practice?
No, we will do
So that means the limit essentially doesn't make sense, right? So what you have to do is a shift left approach here also. So that means you essentially need to be cautious every day. Okay. So looking at your bill, by the way. Okay. So that you will not do the mistakes. So keeping the caps will not help you uh, for practicing. Essentially, I don't see any value out of that. Okay. You may stop at at least one value you get it is okay. You stop the services once you hit the limit. Okay, that is one saving you get it. But I don't want you to get into that scenario at all. And whereas you always look in, okay, every day when you log into the AWS account, make a practice of looking at the bill, by the way. So then you will come to know that, okay, so where you're spending, what you're spending and all. And every day after your practice, you consciously please shut down the systems or delete the systems, whatever is being told in in the training. So please follow that one. And I think so following the practices, such things, you will never hit the hit limits. And also at the same time, post limits also, again, at least you'll be able to work. Like you'll not hit the limit and you'll continue with the practice.
So if we delete our practice, uh, do we have to do it again? Like, suppose today I finished a practice lab and completed and closed it. Do I have to do it again from tomorrow, like start from scratch?
Yeah, our job is infrastructure as a code. So that means everything, whatever you do, is not by going into the UI and do the clicks. So it is going to be a code. So that means everything is going to get replicated while you recreate. So essentially, will not lose anything. And you're not a company that you will lose anything, right? It's only that you bring the system to the state where you practice, correct? So you'll not essentially lose anything like a company. So that's where we delete the things. You're on mute. I'm sure.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
All right. So every day when you actually log in, uh, okay, so just anyhow the point came in. So should create your AWS account. When you create your AWS account, so you always need to be a bit cautious. Like uh, one of the guy raised just now is the scariness of the bill, by the way, right? So whenever you log in the very landing page itself, it is going to show you the bill. At least you spend a minute to understand this. Okay. So here it is telling me that, so every month I'm spending almost like, so $6 around to uh, to this particular account. Okay. In fact, actually, this is not my right account. Just let me. So this is my account actually. So here, I mean, that was my playground account, but here is my actual account. Okay. So here is, you can see this. So how much I'm spending. And here, the cost for me is a bit high because I do some, learning practice also on the same place. So that's where we usually see a bit higher. Okay. So double the amount. Otherwise, I think $30 I would see as a very common number that, across the billing. And some places, sometimes when I am really not doing any practice, so it's even less, by the way. So December. So in the very first month, I think you will not cross even $5-6 of the amount. So like you can see in my last batch, like December, so it was just only uh, you know, the only for the training practice all I'm using. So I see $10, okay, for some reason, but ideally you should not cross $5-6 on this. First 1.5 month. After that, slowly, we are learning more tools, and more things will come into, more infra will come. So that's where more resources you provision. Slowly, your bill will get increased. At a point, you will reach $30-35 when you actually practice a lot of EKS, especially Kubernetes. But until then, it's going to be straightforward. So no problem. Okay. But again, every day you come here, look at the billing. Okay. And also on the right side top, you will get a billing dashboard. So you have billing and cost management. So I would suggest you to uh, please bookmark this URL and you click on this when you actually log in, and later you move on to the servers. Okay. You essentially you bookmark this also. And so here is a billing, it will tell you, and what services it is telling also, it will tell you. All right. So the cloud is the place where we are going to take it. So in organization also, the server means either it is going to if it is my own data center, it is a virtual machine in my data center, or else it is going to be a cloud in whatever they are using. It is going to be a server. So either it is a cloud or your own data center. So you'll be having a web interface like this where you do certain couple of clicks and you get a virtual machine. So here, if it is a company, by the way, so VMware, vCenter, console, something like that. If I get onto these images. So here, yeah, so something like this, it will be there. So you do maybe right click new machine. I think it is also not the right, something like this will be there. Okay. Yeah, here is a one. So you right click, so create a new virtual machine and choose how much you want, and, things like that, and just create a virtual machine. As simple as that. Okay. So that's where, okay. So here also we are going to create a virtual machine. I'll come to that again. Yeah. So once after the training, please, every one of you, please set up your AWS account so that by tomorrow you'll be using your AWS accounts. And once you log into your AWS account, okay, you will see certain things, by the way. Okay, this is AWS terminology. Now, what AWS terminology is telling is, so here also, when you actually closed it up. So whenever you have a vCenter, so they, I mean, virtual machine from the on-prem also, there also you will have a data centers. Okay, these, I mean, some data center names will be there. Okay, according to the data center, you will be creating it. Now, Amazon also, for high availability, what they are doing is they offer, okay, the business in different regions and data centers. Now, Amazon is a global company. Okay, Amazon is doing the infra business, by the way. That means they offer infrastructure in different places. Okay. So if you look at the diagram, so there are different places across the globe. So there are different places which they are offering. Right. Now, why they need to go to different places? Why don't they sit in one place and uh, offer the services? If they're sitting in one place and offering the services, I think it is much efficient also for them in terms of operations, right? Then why they still need to go to go to different regions? I mean, different countries and uh, offer the uh, so services there. So one of the major reason is GDPR. Okay. general data protection regulation from the countries, by the way. So, which was actually started by Britain and slowly adopted by most of the countries now. So, every country has their own GDPR policy. For an example, in India, okay. So, in India, none of the company who does the business, other countries' business in India, so should not take the data, especially the PII data. Okay, so which is personal identity, a personal identity information or information identity. Some PII data is there, so where your Aadhaar card, PAN card, certain details are there, right? So where you should never take it out of the country. Okay, so like the same applies to the US as well. So where you have some SSN numbers and all, so those data you should never, they should none of the guys actually put that data outside of the country. Okay, because of the GDPR policy, they have to host the data center. Uh, they have to host the services, the data centers in that region. Then only they can offer the business. By the way, that is how it is. All right. And another important reason is latency. Okay, that means if a server is actually my business is in India, if my servers are in the US, by the way, then the user will have a latency. That means you'll have a perform because every data all the way over the wire, thousands of miles it has to over the wire, over the under the oceans it has to uh, I mean uh, under the oceans it has to cross uh, it has to it has to cross all the oceans wiring and all, it has to reach to the data center, right? You know that so internet cabling, right? Internet cabling uh, across countries, there are certain diagrams also if you want to visualize. Okay. So majority of the wires are actually here like this. So the diagrams. These are all the wires. What you're seeing is wires. So over the wires only, okay, the majority of the traffic transfers. Over satellites, it's very less. Okay. So this is how it is. So that means if I'm sitting in India, so if my data center is US, all the way I have to go here and touch this and come back. So there's a latency problem. Okay. So that I can't take it. So it will be nearby, it will be faster. So that two reasons why we need to go for local data centers, local regions. Now, whenever you choose a region, there'll be minimum two data centers, by the way. Each region minimum comprises of two data centers. If Amazon is enabling a region, okay, so once you log in, you will see on the right side top, you will see regions. Once they are enabling a region, that means they are having once Amazon is enabling a data center, so it is minimum going to have two data centers. Okay, two physical data centers. Okay, so even one goes down, so there'll be other to avoid the services interruption. That is the reason. Okay, so that is how Amazon offers. Now, yeah, so you have to pick one of the region. For certain reasons, okay, I'm choosing North Virginia region for this particular training, and every one of you will be going to the North Virginia region only. Okay. So, and why North Virginia region is, I think the most of the time you will not get a problem of hardware not available problem. Okay. So if it is some regions, I think India also now don't have that problem. So when actually, so we wanted to go this training when Mumbai launched, by the way, India. So always we end up getting like, hardware not available, certain problems. So just to avoid this all the time, so we always, going with North Virginia region because this is one of the first data centers of Amazon and the biggest one of Amazon as well. Okay. They are having at least 10 plus data centers in that region. Okay. North East one, the biggest one. And also, since it is the biggest, you will not get into a problem of like, I mean, um, for us, it is a very minimal scale, by the way. But however, later when you actually go into the Kubernetes training and all, you have to take little bigger instances. So that time you face the problem. Until then, it was okay. Okay. So that is why, okay, just to avoid all the futuristic problems, like unnecessary, facing the problems, it doesn't matter again for us. So that's where we get onto the North Virginia region. North Virginia is a bigger one, and also since it is one of the oldest and so highly massive data set, massive hardware available. There's also so slight difference in the pricing also. North Virginia is at least like some pennies is always a less price only. So for those reasons, okay, I'm going for North Virginia region only all the time. And not only that, by the way, so when you actually try to create a virtual machine, okay, when you create a virtual machine, what do you require? You require an okay. Whenever I want to install my laptop, let's say, if I want to install my laptop, what do? I put a CD-ROM. Okay, those days are gone. Now you're putting a pen drive and installing the Windows, by the way. Right? Those are the physical machines part. Now, if it is a virtual machine part, so then what do we do? What do we have is the same. Okay, so the same CD is actually available in ISO formats, right? ISO format. So ISO format is CD, DVD. Okay, so this ISO format is basically is you're going to have the content. So you put that particular bootable CD, and the system will boot and run, right? So something like that. Now Linux also you can put so it's a digital version. Virtual machine is a digital version, not a physical version. So that means you can't put a CD or DVD physically. What do? Is you attach an ISO. Okay, you download that. If let's say if I want to download a Red Hat also, okay, Red Hat download. If I give, so they will give you an ISO here. Okay, so here they give it. They provide ISO, RHEL ISO. They will provide. Okay, so that means using this, uh, we are going to create a virtual machine. Okay, but even virtual machine has matured even further. One time you install, okay, and convert that as an image, and use that image to uh, use that particular image to uh, create a virtual machine. You can create images. Okay, so it's a virtual machine technology in VMware. Okay, in VMware you have something called as VMware. Uh, I mean images. Okay, content library. I'll say there's a word content library. So you have something like this. So is a content library. So which allows you to create a virtual machines or even content library. If I remove, so what is virtual images? VMware images. If it is my own data center, let's say, why I'm comparing all the time VMware is because VMware is a leader in that own data center world. Okay. So what is this pre-configured virtual images and appliances, by the way, official product images? Navigate to my downloads, choose ISO, and so here is a one. So in enterprise world, a golden images VM templates are custom created master copies of a virtual machine. They are fully patched and configured according to the internal specifications. We'll talk about these golden images later. We'll create our golden image. Okay, so that means in enterprise world, so certain things are pre-created and made it available for your virtual machine to create. Okay, so here also, in Amazon, okay, um, here also in Amazon, they provide the Amazon uses Xen, by the way. So there is a competitor to VMware. There is a called as Xen. Okay, what is that we call in Xen? Okay, Amazon uses Xen hypervisors. Okay, in Xen project, by the way, so you will call also like images, more or less images only. Will call. I don't know any specific word is there exclusively. Uh, thing we are calling it as VDI. Yeah, so we're calling it as VDI. So simply a general name only will use image, by the way. Now these images in Amazon, okay, they are offering in the name of AMIs, Amazon Machine Image. Okay, what they're offering is Amazon machine image. If I want to create a server, then I have to have an image, by the way. Okay. Now, Amazon offer different services. Okay. So here, if you go into the right side top, so these are all the different services that Amazon offers business. That Amazon offers for services for AI. Amazon offers for general purpose, like so running up your servers, web applications, things like that. Amazon offers services for data engineering, data side services. Amazon offers services for desktop side. Amazon offers services for so gaming development, GPUs and all. So different things they'll offer. Okay. So if I need a virtual machine, if I need a server, and the service which they have is on the compute, you will find under the compute. So you will find a service called as EC2. So here is the place. Okay. And you can also choose when you actually go to the compute, you can just choose star also. Okay. I'll remove all my favorites. Okay. None of the favorites are there. So now I can go to the compute. So because every day I use this, so I just need a shortcut. I'll put a star to this. So EC2 come here. So if I click on EC2, I'll directly jump on the EC2. So this is how your EC2 look like. Okay. Now so you need to log into the EC2 and launch an instance. Launch an instance by using an AMI. Okay. So here is an AMI which which I'm offering. So here is a one that it will come. So it is a Red Hat 9 image, which is being offered from my side. So it has some advantages by using this. So slowly going forward, you will understand what are the advantages. But yeah, so any Red Hat is okay. Okay. So I'm offering Red Hat. So if you just directly generally go to the Red Hat, like, Red Hat itself offer Red Hat, you can use that also. No one's stopping you. Okay. So simply you can go with anyone. It's fine. So, but we'll go with this one because there are certain advantages which you'll see what are the advantages going forward in other sessions. So there are some pre-cooked scripts available in this here, so which makes your life easy. Okay, so that's where it is. Now I'll go on to the launch instance from AMI. So here, launch an instance from this AMI. So we need to have on this. And you don't want to do much, by the way. You just click on launch instance. Number of instances it is telling. So it is telling that this is the image you are using, and the server type you are using is a micro size. Okay. So what is this micro and all? We'll talk about that also a bit later. And it is telling that firewall is doing something and it is getting some storage. So you don't bother about all these things. Slowly you will understand that. The number of instances you are getting is one. Click on launch instance. And it is telling that, hey, can you create one key pair to connect? No, no need. So proceed without a key pair. You can choose launch instance. That's all. Your server will be ready in a minute. You will be able to access that particular system. Okay. So before connecting to this instance, so any questions? So just to recall what we have discussed is, so we are going to, we are going to use not the desktop customized, Linux, by the way. We directly use Amazon. And that's where I asked you to, every one of you, to create an account. So tomorrow, after today's session, if you don't have an account, so please, every one of you, go and create your own account. And once you get into the Amazon account, so you should be choosing a region to start your work. So we choose North Virginia because of some reasons they mentioned. And then we started creating a virtual machine. In Amazon, they offer, we need to have an AMI to create a VM. No doubt you need to have an AMI. Either you take a default AMI, which is provided by Amazon, or a customized AMI, like I have done, like in your company also, you'll have your own customized AMI. By using that, you launched an AMI. Okay, so we launched an instance. Any questions before proceeding?
So you said every region has two data centers, right? So suppose, let's say India has two in India is a region, and we are making an bank application, and the data region, suppose the data center is full. Does it happen like that? Like it's full and you are forced to host your application in some other region?
No, that case usually won't happen. And why? Because usually you will be having in companies, you'll be having a TAM. So technical account manager. So where he will work in your company, mostly for your company in a way. So he will be aware of your, see, as an enterprise company, overnight, you will not double the business that your hardware will be doubled, right? You will be definitely having a forecast, and the forecast will be given to the Amazon side, and they will make sure the hardware is available. That is for enterprise customers. Oh, sorry, you have any other?
No, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, oh,
Hey, hey Raghu, good
yeah.
evening or good morning. Yeah, my question is about the flavor of the distribution you talked about.
Hmm.
What can be the impact if we choose to use the Amazon-based image versus using the customized CentOS version 9 that you're using? Because I'm on the Amazon console right now, and I don't see that CentOS 9 from the alternative, from the options, I mean.
No, here I'm telling. Okay, so okay, there are two things here. So first thing is what we are creating is with the AMI which I am offering. Okay, so it's not the general image which I picked it up. So there's a small customized image which I am offering. We are using that image. And second thing is, okay, so you don't do the practice while the session goes on because you'll miss the details, right? So likewise, you miss the detail now. Okay, so don't do that. So just focus on the information which is flowing here. So any questions you can ask on that. So but yeah, we are using a customized AMI, and that unless until you search it, you'll not get it. So that's where I am giving a direct link here in the document. You can use this document and click on it, and automatically it will take you to the AMI, and from that you can directly take it up. Choose this, launch, and this easy path.
Okay, yeah, you say this document is the document. Can I get the document through your GitHub, or how do we get this document?
Yeah, I'm not sure you joined late. I pinged this URL on the chat in the starting, so I pinged you again. That is the link.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Now my instance is ready. If I click on view all instances, it will show me that my instance is running. Okay. Now, how do I connect to this instance? So that is where the next thing. So connecting to your instance. If you are using your MacBook or Windows, mostly these two things. And if you are using Linux also, same like Mac only, it will be there. Yeah. Now you need to copy the public IP address of that instance. Okay. You need to unmute and talk. Yeah. Sorry, come again. I am not able to hear you. It's okay. Yeah, it's came now. Thank you. So after the instance launch, it was, I mean, we'll have view all instances. It will come to here. As an instance is created. Now, how do I create an instance here is, so here I'm connecting to an instance, whether you're using a Mac OS or Windows, right? So mostly these two things you'll be having. Now, you're going to copy the public IP address and use the following credentials to connect. The username is ec2-user. The password is DevOps321, capital D, capital O. Okay. Now, if I, yeah, so I had to give like in Mac OS or Linux, by the way, I need to open some terminal. So there is a terminal which is there in your, in your MacBook. So you can use that particular one. Now, what is that I need to do? I have to type SSH ec2-user, SSH ec2-user at the rate, and the public IP address. So what is the public IP address? So here, is a public IP address. Okay. So you give ec2-user at the rate this IP address, and you hit enter. So then what it will do is it will ask you yes or no. Okay, it is offering. So the server is offering something that, hey, this is my server identity. You want to store. Yes, I'm giving enter. And it is asking for the password. So what is the password? DevOps 321. Capital D, capital O, 321. I entered. I logged into the system. All right. It's as simple as that. I think if it is a Windows, you need to download a software called as Putty from your into your system. Okay, so I can give Putty download. It's a very simple exe file. Okay, so it is a simple exe file. So if you want to, and there's also a kitty is also there. Okay, Putty or kitty both are same, and just a sisters kind of a thing. Both are same source code, Putty or kitty. So it is same. So either you download the same thing. So kitty. Uh, if you look in, so kitty also just looks the same thing. This is a kitty UI. Both are same only. Like just you consider that those are just the same guys only, just the sisters. Okay, so the same source code. But I don't know the reason why there's two. Is there any different? But in general, it is same. Okay. Now you need to open that. So once you download this exe file, you download it, and you have to enter the IP address here. So there's a screenshot given because I can't. So I don't have a Windows box. So that's where. So this is a 1 and 2, and the same like in my command line it asked me yes or no, right? So here also it is prompting. You want to go with the accept that. So click on accept it, and then you enter your ec2-user as a username, and it prompts for the password, and you enter the password. While you enter the password, it is invisible. You will not be able to see. Okay, you have to carefully enter the password without any mistakes, and then you will be able to log into the server. Okay, now just flip the same thing. Okay, now the flip the same approach what we have done. You go into a company, by the way. In a company, okay, when you log into the servers, Okay, here I have used a username and password, right? In your company, you will log into that server with your username and password. Okay, see how do you log into your laptop, by the way, with your username and password, right? Or maybe a fingerprint scan. That's okay. But let's say in a company you have different portals. Okay, single sign-on portals, right? So that means like I have a portal to go and mark my attendance. I have a portal to mark my leaves. I have a portal to check my insurance. Okay. I have a portal to check my payslip. So for all these portals, you will use the same username and password only. Correct? You will not use different username and password. Now, when you get into an enterprise organization, this is what happens. If a user is created, that means some guy joined the company. If this user is created, okay, if that user is created, then he will get one username and password. His email, username, and password, he will get it. And the same username he will use across, by the way. Anywhere he go, he will be using the same username and password. And that applies to the servers also. In the servers also, you will log in with your username and password. Just assume your username I entered is easy to user. My username is Raghu. In my company, I'm entering, let's say, Raghu, or maybe my first name dot last name may be there. Okay, possibly. Okay, so I'll be getting that. I enter that as a username and I enter my single sign-on password. That is how I enter into the systems, right? So that's where username and password logins are the very standard practice in the enterprise organizations. Okay, we also enter the username and password. We logged into the server. There are other methods also. There are other extended methods are there. Some people use key pairs, but key pairs are used by immature people. Okay, so for a end user login, there are different criteria again here. For automation to login, username and password is not the general criteria. Okay, so you may use keys. For end user to log in, it is always his username and password only. Keys won't work. Keys won't work. Okay, that's where it is always username and password. So the criteria is very important. Okay, Amazon for its own different reasons, actually they tell you that you should start with a key. Okay, because Amazon, you go back like 15, 17 years back, the design was completely different. They doesn't have this much maturity. Okay, so that is the reason the key has one advantage on top of a username and password when you are getting a server. So that's one of the reason I think it's a lost history also. I think a lot of people doesn't know that if someone asks, like let's say someone creating a machine, they'll tell a key pair. Okay, if you double click, if you cross question like why key pair, because I never seen key pair. When I logged into the server, okay, when I logged to my desktop, it is username and password. Okay, when I log into my Gmail, it is username and password. Okay, when I create a server, if any one of you has created a Linux box and so installed any Linux box, or maybe you open YouTube and watch a video, it's a username and password. Now where is this key pair is coming in? When you start cross questioning that someone, okay, using a key pair, it's a question mark. Okay, but there are reasons. Okay, if you're interested, at least you should study those reasons why Amazon starts with key pair. But now let's say you have other mature clouds, like not mature cloud, I would say, like second generation cloud that came in like Azure. I mean, at least after 4 or 5 years came into the picture, has already addressed that problem. Okay, so that they will allow you to enter in the create a server with the password. Okay, but even that also doesn't happen. When a server is created, automatically that integrates with your single sign-on, and automatically you will be able to log into your server using your username and password only. But here I can't just bring all the ecosystem of a company. That's where I'm just going with a unique username and password, which is easy to hyphen user in this exercise. And that is easy to hyphen user. And the password is a standard password. Just assume that is your username and password. You're entering your username and password only. That's as simple as that. Okay, so that's how it is going to be. Now, once I log into the server, now Linux is okay, the interface is a command line interface, just I mentioned, right? So Linux is a command line interface, and we are going to use commands, by the way. So it's a command line interface. Almost everything that you do in the Linux is a command based. And because the command based is a lightweighter and faster, it consumes very fewer resources because graphical requires more and more resources. and it reduces the security risk also, because lesser the software, lesser the risk. It's as simple as that. Okay. In production world, okay, where the live systems are running, lesser the software, lesser the risks. Okay. And it also allows you the automating and the things. But overall, Linux OS is for a professional. By the way. So that means in Windows, okay, if you want to copy a file, probably you go to the file explorer, right click and copy a file. In Linux, you simply execute a command, right? So maybe this looks little complicated for you, but this may be looking very happy path. But let me tell you a little extended requirement. If you, in fact, if you have a requirement of updating 100 files, you want to update something. Okay. For an example, I'm leaving the organization. Okay. For an example, as an example. So now my role is being replaced by some other person. Now there are a lot of places that I need to update the documents saying that this person name need to be replaced by this person. Let's say there are 100 files where I need to go and modify it. Then in Windows, if you want to do that, so 100 times you have to right click or double click, open the file, modify it, double click, open the file, modify it. You have to do 100 times. Whereas the Linux, the same command, whatever you're executing, with some extended options, you give the 100 files at one time, it will be able to do that. In Linux, it is just the one single command, doesn't matter 1 or 100 files. So that is the professionalism I'm talking about. At a scale, Windows is definitely a very pain operating system to manage. Okay, so that's where a lot of professionals end up with the Mac OS, but not with the Windows. Okay, because Linux also, Mac OS is also a Unix operating system that works as simple as Linux. Okay, in fact, actually, Linux is a inspired operating system for Unix from Unix. Okay, so that's where. So this is more, you know, more efficient in terms of performance, in terms of making you performant, by the way. So that's the major reason professionals majorly uses macOS. So whatever is the reason it is, you need to understand that you need to start executing commands. Okay, so like this, you have to type the commands, and in this few days, by the way, at least for the couple of days, you're going to learn Linux commands throughout our course. For the first week at least, we are going to learn Linux, and throughout our course, we are going to use Linux. You'll get used to that. Okay, it's not a big deal. Maybe one day you may feel a bit uncomfortable, but just it makes your life easy. But just mark my words. After 1 year, you revisit, by the way, and after that you compare your Windows versus Linux. You will definitely say Linux is the most easiest operating system. Windows was a difficult one. Okay, so that level it will take you. Okay, but overall, this is how I create a machine. I connect to the machine, and once, like let's say today I'm done with my practice, I don't need that particular machine anymore. I right click, you terminate the instance. Okay, I don't have anything in this particular machine to bother about. I'll simply delete the machine. Because stopping the machine also will have certain charges involved, because still you are using some hard disk and all. Okay, there are certain charges which is involved. I don't want to get into that area. To keep it minimal, my bill, we are going to use stop, terminate the instance, delete the instance, at least for some days. Okay, so that's all from my side for today. So from tomorrow, we'll start learning the Linux commands. By tomorrow, I want every one of you to have your AWS account ready, because it will take one day also sometimes to activate your account. So just get it ready, and so that you can practice. And that's all from my side for today. Any questions, please go ahead. And if you don't have any questions also, feel free to drop. So we are done with the things from my side. Thank you.
Raghu, just wanted to understand how long before it charges? Like, is it 24 hours duration that it has to be on, or it is a
No,
specific?
every minute they calculate.
Okay, it's calculated every minute. Okay.
Yeah. Those days were a decade back. Okay. Hourly billing was there in Amazon. That's where we used to misuse a lot. So create a machine, delete the machine within 50 minutes so that you'll not get billed. Those days
Correct.
are gone. It was
Okay.
minute billing now. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So right now it is minute. So every minute that I'm using it, I'm anyway getting charged for it. Okay,
Correct.
got it. Okay.
Not able to hear you. Moving on.
Hi Raghu, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could you explain again why we are not using a key pair and going going via the putty method in Windows?
So key pair is not the default method. That's a customized method. You should know why are you customizing. Okay. So what is your role? Like, let's say I'm hoping you're a working guy. So what is your
I work on the backend DB related SQL stuff.
so DB will you connect with a key pair or username password?
Username password.
So then where is this key coming from?
Right. It's more of an Amazon thing.
No, no. It's a basic Linux thing only. But
Okay.
it is a see for an example in your mobile. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to and unlock you have a fingerprint, you have a face scan, you have a PIN number, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there are different methods, different ways of authentication. In
Yeah.
SSH also there are different ways of authentication. Whereas the
Okay.
SSH is the default one, like your mobiles also, your PIN is the default one. So let's say you reboot your mobile. Okay. So first time it will ask you the PIN only. Okay. Username password is the default methods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, you customize and go for other methods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What I'm bringing is the basic, by the way. Amazon has taken from A to B. Okay. They're telling you the B option, but whereas I'm bringing you to the A option. First
Okay.
username and password. Okay. That
Okay.
customization is not needed.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You need to unmute and talk. This is Vinod. Moving on.
Hi Raghu, good morning. Raghu, for these training sessions, videos where we can get to directly through email, we will get, or any other portal, or we need to log in. We need to check.
So it's a portal. You just text your organizer that I wanted to see get the portal access. So you will get.
Okay, okay, fine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the time to answer my question. So I think it might be a redundant question. I watched the demo yesterday. So I kind of like I took your course in 2020. It was more like Azure DevOps. Then I think Jenkins and all that was there. I'm just kind of coming back to refresh things. I mean, I'm already working in a DevOps environment. It's in GCP and Terraform and PowerShell
Mhm.
and GitLab environment. So kind of trying to like maybe understand what's not really what is the delta between then and from then and now that I can kind of figure out already from the course syllabus. But I guess big picture wise, am I kind of getting into more like AWS and Kubernetes kind of framework more in this class or
Yes, it is based on AWS, correct. And I think the tools, some of the tools has been changed also. And at that time, I think it was could be only the AWS session only. Sorry, DevOps session only, not DevSecOps. So you'll get the security. And this time you will get some AI hands-on as well.
AI? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Hi, Raghu. So, as we were discussing about the username password for the instances, so is it something we create as the owner of the instance, or it's automatically created by the Amazon?
No, it won't be created by Amazon. So it has to be created by the company that you work in. So maybe sometimes it may be created by some other team. Let's say there is I mean, in company, they may be organizing as AWS administrator as a different person. So he will create a server, but I think that won't be there ideally. Very less companies follow that kind of a thing. Okay. So because you look at a platform perspective, right? So you are in a very big company, and in where some places like, so even some people, today uh, doesn't know uh, a word of DevOps, a word of cloud. Even seriously, I'm talking. So even getting to a big organization, when you actually look at the different, because they are come from the product background and they only know domain knowledge. Okay, for an example, there's a there's a product called as, let's say, retail banking. So they know more and more on the retail how it has to behave. Okay, so how the functionality of that particular application. So, but they don't go on to the tech side of the things majorly, even though they are developers. They may work turned out of the Java something. Okay, but they don't know all this texting. So for them, you give the access. By the way, so actually, an engineer should be there in their team to actually go and create all these particular things. Okay, let's say they don't have an engineer also, then probably there'll be some central team, so they have to raise a ticket and get a server created for them if it is an Amazon. So that cases, yes. But assuming now you are actually an engineer, go and work with that in that particular team, understanding the functional requirements of the team, and convert those particular things into your infrastructure, right? So from that context, you will still have access to create it. So in that context, yes, ideally we will be creating it. Amazon will not do anything for us.
Okay, so we'll be creating the username password in this course as well.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So username password is very simple thing. Yeah, but that's okay. How to do it? We have a user section, by the way. Usually I don't generate the password. You just remind me during that time. I will show you how to set a password and how they will connect.
Thank you.
Raghu, basic one, like I was assuming that when I use your AMI that you provided, it will be exactly how you have configured it, right? But I saw that yours is T3 micro minus T2 micro does not make any difference, I guess. Or will that be an?
Usually the latest hardware is going to be lit bit of less price, by the way. Okay.
Okay,
So yeah, performance is high because always like latest is always performance high.
correct.
And while it is latest, by the way, they usually get the more hardware for the same price. So that's why they will offer it for little lesser price.
Okay, okay. So AMI has that, like Amazon automatically takes care of the compute power, like whether it needs T2, T3. Like I cannot,
Um,
I'm just thinking a little
no, no,
ahead.
no. You can customize that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah.
Hi Raghu.
Yeah.
Raghu, can you please share the URL which I look like I missed that URL?
This document.
Yes, document correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Raghu.
Yeah.
One last question. So, is the capsule, the project is going to be only towards the end in the last week, or like as we learn these as you talk about these different technologies, Ansible and whatnot, are there going to be scenario-based kind of things that you will go through, um, like minor components of different real-time examples, or that will be only left with for the last week, the entire capstone?
Until last week, until last batch, it was always the project first. and tool next. Okay, but this time, since the AI is actually coming into picture, so we wanted to do the things with AI, self-hosted AI and things like that. So I'm planning to take the project to the last, not 1 week, I would say, like, it will go for more than three weeks easily, 3-4 weeks it will take. Okay, at least 3 weeks minimum it will take to run the application, stabilize the application. So that means all the three criterias, whatever we talk about, which will be handled at one time, which is highly available, highly scalable, and highly secure application. So all the things will be taken care at once this time. Okay, because of the AI coming into the picture. So the first weeks is going to be the understanding the topics with some example. Okay, but not with the real project that we wanted to solve. The project is going to be the big project, whatever I was explaining in the demonstration, is going to be the um, end of training this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So please get your AWS accounts ready, and we can continue that in tomorrow's session. Okay. Bye. Good day.